like this. Hit it!
Fabulous entertainment. The time is now.
As we go a little something like this. Hit it!
Fabulous entertainment. The time is now.
So when I started WhoMag, it was 2002. So back then, there weren't a lot of hip-hop sites, R&B sites. There weren't a lot of sites, period, in 2002. So basically, when I started off, I wanted to start off big because my web guy was charging me a lot of money. It was like $30-40 a month, I think, for hosting. It was $2,000-3,000 for the setup fee. So you're not going to spend that kind of money unless you really have something worth it. So my strategy with WhoMag was start off big. So I knew a lot of independent artists, I knew a lot of people, but the thing was, how am I going to create the biggest draw possible? So I knew this guy that was a writer in LA who kind of mentored me a little bit. I kind of met him recently at that time, but he was mentoring me a little bit, gave me some advice, and then he actually was a big interviewer for a lot of print magazines like Variety and Hits magazine. And one interview he did was for, I forget which magazine it was, but he interviewed Randy Jackson from American Idol during season 2. And that was the biggest show in the world at that point. That was like the #1 show. Everyone was like American Idol, American Idol. So I told him, I said, hey man, can I use that article? He's like, nah, I already sold it to one of these magazines. I'm like, yeah, but did you sell the internet rights? He's like, what do you mean internet rights? I'm like, come on, do you mean you sell the internet rights? I mean, he's like, I don't know what that means. He's an older guy. In 2002, it was like no one really understood that whole game. It was still a new game. I'm like, yeah, well, I'll buy the internet rights off of you. He's like, yeah, okay, just give me $100. Gave him $100, got the Randy Jackson interview. First interview was Randy Jackson from American Idol during season 2. Posted it up with with one of my artists that I used to manage and some other stuff. And then I went to the American Idol site. It was like a massive chat room. And was on there every day like a 14-year-old girl. OMG, check out Randy Jackson, he's so hot. And put the links in my site. So I kept doing this all the time, and our site just crashed. My developer was like, what's going on? Why are you getting so much traffic? And it was because it was a strategy. And that's what really branded WhoMag from the jump, because then all of a sudden, I go to the record labels, and I was working in New York at the time, and I knew a lot of labels. So I was hitting them up, saying, hey, we can interview artists, here's our site. And they're like, huh? And they see, oh my God, how did you get Randy Jackson? And then all of a sudden, that kind of, I used that as leverage to get some of the bigger artists too. So after the jump, we had all the major artists, the labels coming to us with artists. The next thing you know, we're getting calls from Shade 45, Sirius Satellite to do their show. We got calls from MTV, Real World, the casting call. It was just ridiculous the calls that were coming in, because no one had a camera back in 2002 either. So it wasn't like a lot of cameras floating around like there is now. So we were pretty unique at that time. So I remember sitting there and I was like, man, I gotta follow. How do I follow up to Randy Jackson? I got these big interviews that came in, and it was more like not a hip hop orientated, but I'm like, I need a massive, massive one like Randy Jackson. I was trying to think who I need to get. And I drifted outside of hip hop for a second, and I was like, man, what's the biggest movie out? Lord of the Rings Part 3 was coming out on DVD. I'm like, man, I need to get a Hobbit. Man, if I got a Hobbit, my site we'd crash it. We get so much traffic. So I sat there and I actually stalked all the Hobbits to see when they're coming to Philly, and actually Sean Axton, who was one of the was it Bilbo Baggins? Or not Bilbo, it was one of them, Samwise. Anyway, he was one of the biggest Hobbits, and he was coming to Philly to speak about on his book that he wrote, and did a Land for 3 speech. So went there, we sat there for like probably 3 hours where I gave a speech, and then he signed his book afterwards. It was probably like a 2-hour wait. And I did speak to Sharon Pinkinson, who was in charge of the Philadelphia Film Organization. So she told me to come on by, she would try to hook it up. We had to wait till after everything was done. So I remember it was like 2 in the morning. He had 2 little girls, they were probably like 2 and 5 maybe, tired. But still, after he was done, he took his time and he sat down with me. We had this great interview about, and I remember the interview he was such a nice guy for the interview, and I'm like, damn, this guy's being so nice, and like his kids are tired and they're cranky, and he's just, for me. I remember thinking that. And then put the interview out, put it on all the OneRing.net or OneRing, wherever the sites were, the Blue Ring sites. Bam, we have so much traffic coming through. I put Sean Astin gives secrets to the DVD, Lord of the Rings DVD, and all of a sudden, everyone came to our site again. So a lot of these were tricks that I used to bring leverage to blow us up. And after that, everyone went Halle Berry, Katy Perry, Ice Cube, Tyrese, Pitbull, you name it. We interviewed everybody, you know. So a lot of it came from strategies. Instead of just putting us aside and says, you know, put something out there and see what happens. I really try to structure ways to make a blow. Because I had a 9-to-5 job too. I was at Merrill Lynch at the time. So I had to, and I was working probably 9 to 9 almost. The day job was probably 9 to 7 every day. So it was a lot of work I had to do. I had to come home and I put all my free time at night into developing this. And there would be times like Wyclef's birthday party, which I was invited to, the only person to have a camera there. You know, went there like a Tuesday night, went straight from work, came home after the party drunk, showered, and went back to Merrill Lynch again. But I couldn't tell anybody this because I didn't want them to know what I did, because sometimes I'm fighting to stay awake at my desk, and I don't want people to understand, oh, it's all partying with Wyclef, what's that all about, you know? So a lot of it was having a Clark Kent Superman life with a day job, but at the same time, it's kind of like the strategy is really keep it growing and keep it unique. Like, what can I get that other people don't have? What's valuable? When I do the interviews with these artists, what's the money question? What's the question that no one else is asking? Not your typical, what's this? You know, when's your record coming out? You know, how did you get started? What are your inspirations? My questions are more unique that people nowadays still talk about. So, and I have props to Will out of Miami. He does a lot of my writing for me too. He's good at getting those questions out too. So, we got a nice little formula here at WhoMag, and it's been a successful 12 years. So,
nice. So, give us a little bit of information about iFame TV.
So, iFame TV, what happened was MAGTV. I launched the TV show in 2007. The website was 2002. We put the first DVD magazine out to break into the Walmarts in 2005. 2007, I spun it off to MAGTV because a company in Europe picked up my DVD. Loved it and said, can you make this to a TV show? So I made it to a TV show in 2007. So we launched in 120 million households in Europe before we even brought it back to America. So it was cool. We were getting a lot of the show was doing really well. All these networks were picking us up. We were on Dish TV, on Colors. We were on a lot of like local broadcasts, like Philly, Jersey, New York City, Pasadena, and Las Vegas, Delaware. A lot of people picked up our show. So it was doing well on broadcasts and on satellite and overseas and a couple outlets. So the problem I had was with the day job, and I wasn't really making money off the shows. With the day job, I spend more time taking the show and changing the format than actually making the show. For example, one show went into 22 minutes, one went into 28 minutes, one went into DVT, one went into as MOV, one went into FTP, one went into mail. So I spent more time trying to do all that than actually making the shows. So then all of a sudden I started making flyers up. Actually, you get on the flyers, you can watch this on this time and this time and this time and this channel. But what happened was that these channels keep changing it. So you make spend this money, make the flyers up. A month later, it's irrelevant because the times have changed. So the strategy I had then was, all right, so what am I going to do now to control my own destiny, control my own program? So I decided I'm going to create my own TV network. And everyone laughed at me. They're like, how are you? You don't have an investor. You don't have a real budget to do a TV network. How are you going to build a TV network? And one thing about me is like, I put my mind to something, I just do it. Like, I don't care. Yeah, everything. I purposely try to do the unachievable. You know, because I know if I don't succeed, I'll probably still be way up here opposed to everyone else who's shooting down here. So I decided I'm going to create my TV network. So, lunch, I looked in the
As we go a little something like this. Hit it!